Good morning. It's day 12, August 2026, 26 degrees here in Lagos, Nigeria. I'm Ayo Makinde. Welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Indeed, welcome to your daily dose of sunshine. I am Kayla Magwa, 24 degrees here in the nation's capital. Ayo, after listening to Mr. Bode George yesterday, of course, the ripple effects have started, but we'll compile all of those ripple effects for you because it was going to elicit the responses that we are seeing online. Today, however, we are starting the show with a conversation about our democracy. I don't know if you saw our report yesterday about the Jonathan event that happened in Bauchi, and of course we saw former President Olusegun Obasanjo saying something that he normally says. I've heard him say this over and over again, that our style of democracy, this Western style democracy, doesn't fit, he says. Doesn't fit us. He proposes that we create our own type of democracy. Could that be the reason why we have so many complaints about governance and the way things are done in our country? Are we practicing a style of democracy that just isn't made for us? Okay, then that brings up the question, what kind of democracy is made for Nigerians? Can we carve out our own type of democracy? What does that entail? Will there be another event where we get people together to come and talk about the kind of democracy they want, the one that fits us? Is there going to be some kind of conference to get that done? We don't know. But I do know that former President Olusegun Obasanjo has said this continually. We are practicing a style of democracy, he says, which is not made for the Nigerian people. Now, while we marinate on that, let's start our conversation this morning with the Save Democracy Group. Now, the Save Democracy Group, that is bipartisan platform of members of the House of Representatives in the 10th National Assembly, committed to defending democracy, they said. Now, they are complaining again about a few things about our democracy, saying that there's a constitutional decline, budget failures, opaque public expenditure, economic hardship, and worsening insecurity. So let's hear from them directly. We have in the studio here with us Honorable Philip Agbese, who's the Deputy Spokesman, Chairman, House Committee on Media and Public Affairs. Thank you so much for being with us on the program.
It's a pleasure.
And joining us via Zoom, I don't want to murder your name, sir. I've been rehearsing your name for the past 5 minutes, so let's see if I got it right. We have joining us via Zoom a member of the House of Representatives, Andoni Okpobo Nkoro, Federal Constituency, and MDC Senatorial Candidate, Rivers Southeast Senatorial District, Representative Awajinombek Dagome Abiante, PhD. Did I get it?
Well said. It's an A for you. Good morning.
Thank you so much for being with us on the program. All right, so let me start off with you, Honorable Philip Agbese. Let's talk about this press release. What's really going on? What has happened? And why does the Save Democracy Group, do what they do? And, what kind of work have you been doing so far? What kind of successes are you getting with these kinds of press releases?
Well, I'm actually not a member of the caucus of the Save Democracy Group. But of course, they raise very important issues. There are issues that we cannot shy away from. We'll discuss them, we'll look at them, and some of the issues that they have also raised are issues that are being addressed. For instance, the issue of insecurity. No one is a stranger in this country. We've seen what Mr. President has done recently with the armed forces, the expansion of the armed forces from 8 garrisons to 12, the creation of new brigades, new battalions, and all of that. And particularly where I come from, the Benue South Senatorial District of Benue State, we are feeling the direct impact of that. We have been given a new brigade in Otukpo, a new battalion in Agatu. We are also asking that another battalion should be added around Igumale to take care of security issues around Aguila, Ichama, and that Aziz. And with the recent remuneration package that Mr. President has approved for the armed forces. All these are, collective aspiration of the parliament, the work that we have been doing. We have been having a sectoral debate as part of our legislative agenda. We engaged the armed forces. We invited the Chief of Defense Staff, General Lufemi Oluyede, and the security chiefs. We engaged them, and these were some of the proposals sent to us. So Mr. President is only reacting, to some of our debates and position on some of these issues. Yes, of course, we are going to talk about the issue of non-payment of contractors, which is also very, very important, because to steer the economy, I think the economic team, they have to do something about it. We're all concerned about it. Local contractors are being owed, for 2024 budget proposals that are executed, they've not been paid. 2025 budget has not been implemented. I think as a parliament, we are not happy about the situation. But all I can say at the moment is that yes, we have activated diplomatic channels, parliamentary diplomatic channels, that the executive is being engaged on that. And I think that is one of the key issues that the Safe Democracy Group, led by my senior colleague, Honorable Abiante, they are also talking about.
So let's hear from him. Honorable Abiante.
Yes, thank you very much, Kela. And well done to my brother, Philip Agbete. We are quite close, and we share thoughts most times. But let me attend to a few of the things that he has said before I answer you. Yes, Mr. President has expanded the presence of the military formations. But in a constitutional democracy, these are internal security matters, and they are not matters for the Nigerian army. They are never so. There are issues that the police should have handled. So that means that sector is already failed. Then what bothers us is there's a shrinking in this democratic space that we have in Nigeria. Democracy, like we all know, as defined by those who have been here before us, if they were alive today, I'm sure they will be regretting why they proposed that concept called democracy. Democracy is about the people. They allow the people to participate. And all the issues that we put forward, they are not new. We never manufactured any of them. My brother has admitted that these issues have always been there. We didn't manufacture any of them. If you look at the issues of the non-performance of the budget 2024, 2025, 2026, nothing has happened, absolutely nothing. And what drives the economy of a nation is the budgetary provisions, the Appropriation Act. It is a law as passed by the National Assembly, and it is not being implemented. It simply means that government is not doing what it should have done fundamentally. The issues surrounding the insecurity in this country, it is not also new. The fact that the budget has not been implemented was even raised by a principal officer who is an APC member, Senator Munguno, and we say thank you, distinguished senator, for engaging in this conversation that has brought us to this point. But my particular concern at this point, I listened to the father of this nation, Mr. President. And one of the things I listened to, one of the things I heard, if not that the Archbishop came on to further clarify on them, I would have believed that they were indeed not made by the president, that it would have been artificial intelligence that had been used to doctor whatever the president said. For me to listen to the father of the nation tell us that all is fair in politics is very scary. Absolutely so. We have listened to what happened in Osun yesterday. Is it that they are drawing strength from the statement of Mr. President that all is fair? I want to refer Nigerians to what happened in Kano in 2015, where the resident electoral commissioner in Kano and his family were gone. So are we looking towards a situation where in 2027, the people will not even be allowed to go to vote because all will be fair?
Just so I can pose this question to you.
The candidate of your choice, anything can happen to you, and all will be fair.
So just so we're clear, just so people can understand what's going on here, the Save Democracy group is not an opposition group. You have people from the ruling All Progressives Congress in there. You have a lot of lawmakers from across the political parties, including the ruling party, as members of the Save Democracy group. Just so people can understand that it's not an opposition push. All right. Now, you know, the question I asked Honorable here earlier was, because like you said, none of the things you're saying are new. We've been hearing these things for a very long time. In fact, disregard for the rule of law, I've been hearing that for years. Chronic budget under implementation and a potentially impeachable breach. So you're saying appropriation acts and not campaign promises. And then of course you're talking about the 2024, 2025 and 2026 fiscal cycles and the issues that have been coming up. We've been hearing this going on. And then, of course, the reports of unrecorded public expenditure, alleged misappropriation, and off-budget spending. So we've been hearing all these things for quite a while. My question is right now, when we hear about complaints like this, and you and people like you start to speak up against it, what happens afterwards? Have you made any progress with these complaints?
Well, like my brother alluded to, probably it could be as a result of the complaints that we have made or that we have always been making that has led to the expansion of the space in terms of creating new military divisions. It is possible. It's also possible that there is because of the things that we have said, the complaints that we have made, that has enabled the local contractors who help governments in expanding the economy through executing projects have stopped their protests at the Ministry of Finance. It is very possible. It's also possible that this has led to several promises that have been made, the ones that have been kept and the ones that they will keep tomorrow. It is also possible. But we have to sustain this discourse. We have to sustain this discussion. We have to put it to be permanently in the public space so that we can achieve a lot more. And that is why we have come together to say, look, let us continue to emphasize on these issues that are not new, these issues that are not strange, that they were not manufactured by us, they never originated from us. Let us continue to sustain it in this space so that Nigerians can also hold up to account. Nigerians can also bring their own opinion, their own views, their own thinking, probably offer solutions that we may not have been able to think about. Knowledge is not limited to one man. Knowledge is not restricted to any institution. Knowledge is a collective, and that is why we will continue to speak to these issues as we have opportunities.
Let's come back to Honorable Agbese here in the studio. Just so you can respond to what he said about, in fact, it's part of their statements here. They were commending the courage, they said, of religious leaders, referring to the John Cardinal Onaiyekan and the Catholic bishops who went to see the president. And that statement that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu made, where he said all is fair in politics, is of course caused a lot of ripple effects. We want to get you to respond to that. And then they're asking here that the present circumstances in the country do not permit for the legislature to remain away from plenary while urgent constitutional, fiscal, economic and security questions remain unresolved. Maybe you can speak to that.
Well, we have spent about 3 years in the parliament now, and of course I met members of the Safe Democracy Coalition in the parliament. Many of them are far my senior in parliament. But what I understand and what we have been doing in the 10th House of Representatives is to equally devise strategies and approaches that yield positive results. And that was why, in the wisdom of His Excellency the Right Honorable Speaker Tajuddin Abbas, PhD, GCON, we implore, the sectoral debate. When Mr. President removed fuel subsidy and we saw the economic backlash, we engaged the economic team and we worked out a few things which resulted in the distribution of palliatives across the country, the construction of roads. Yes, in 2024, even today, I'm a member of the opposition, so I will not be speaking for the government. But in some areas where they made some progress, I think it is only fair, that we accept that they also did their best. In 2024, they did quite a lot in terms of budget implementation. Why the contractors are protesting, after 2024 is the fact that these jobs were executed, but payments were not made. Initially, government said they were activating some fiscal policies and reforms, to ensure that government monies are properly spent and, are being accounted for. Yes, as a parliament, we welcome accountability, we welcome transparency, but again, on the part, of the contractors, they've been through a lot, and we have appealed to the government. Part of the reason why Mr. President removed the finance minister, Wale Edu, people may not say it, but I could recall a time he appeared before the parliament, and we stood up to tell him that, you've overstayed your welcome. Mr. President, quickly acted on that. The first was the Minister of State for Finance, who was later redeployed to the Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning. And later, that pressure was on, because what the minister was telling us in Parliament was totally different from what the economy was saying. And we thank God for a listening president. He saw to that, and he has brought in Mr. Taiwo Oyedele. Since Taiwo came on board, I think the executive, they made some payments, and they're in the process of making some other payments. So for us as a parliament, we will urge them, because we don't want to portray the parliament, as a house that is divided against itself. What Honorable Abiante and his group are saying.
In doing that, the parliament is being is being referred to as a rubber stamp.
No, you see, like I've said,
in the bid to be peaceful and to get things to work, you cannot now present yourselves as people who are stooges of the president.
No, you see, even those who want us to fight do not have boxing certificate or wrestling certificate to engage in
it's
the
kind of fight. It's calls for accountability. We're not saying fight. They insist on accountability.
Yes,
these budgetary spendings, we have a National Assembly that has been watching this happen for 3 years. 3 years.
No, you see, the group, the coalition has unfolded some of these issues, and again, you see the timing or some of the activities of the coalition. Because, for instance, my brother and friend, Honorable Abiante, sometime when we came on board, he was in the PDP, and later he moved to the ruling party. I believe that when he was in the ruling party, the Safe Democracy Coalition didn't see some of these things. Some Nigerians are concerned that the timing, it could be that the coalition is being used, as an underhand. Some people have even said it could be the fact that some persons lost election in their political party, and for that purpose they are angry and they are taking on the government. But again,
are you saying that is what Honorable Abiante is doing? No, because they lost elections or because he has disgruntled members, that's the reason why they're bringing this up now?
No, I'm just saying that that's what some people are insinuating. That's what we're seeing online.
Maybe I can get him to respond to that allegation, Honorable.
But as a
they say you people are disgruntled.
No, let me say something, because you asked a question. Yes. I need to shed light on that. As a parliament, we have rules of procedures, and part of our rules of procedure, because when the Save Nigeria Coalition say they are calling, for the recess to be cut off and for us to resume and address this issue, it looks as if even members of the coalition were sleeping all these years, because they are not just coming into parliament. They've been around for 3 years and some months now. Okay. So for them to answer, are you saying that,
so that we do not use up all the time? Let me get him to respond to that.
Are you? No.
Wait, hold on a second. You heard what he said. The timing is suspect. Your complaints are suspect. Are you being used?
Well, if a parliamentarian can allow himself to be used, he does not qualify to answer that name. We are the gatekeepers of any democracy. It's the parliament that is gatekeeper. That we are doing it now means that we are giving everybody enough room, enough opportunity to have a change, to have a rethink, and it is not happening. It is rather we do it late than never to do it at all. Let me tell you, if an executive bill gets into the parliament, how many hours does it take for it to be passed? The change of the national anthem, which is a symbol of the nation, was changed in less than 3 hours. We had to amend the Police Act to allow a sitting Inspector General of Police to continue forever. How many hours did it take? The executive bill that came in to alter the constitution establishing the state police, how many days did it take? So it simply means that something is not adding up. How many times have you had Abiante stand up to have effective debate, even on issues that you know very well? So when the democratic space is choked, you don't have any option than to speak out. And I commend my elder brother, Senator Ali Ndume, who told the presiding officer, the Senate President, that you can use the gavel and I will use my voice.
All right. My colleague in Lagos has a few questions for you.
Issues that have been discussed.
Well, let me bring in my colleague in Lagos. Ayo has a few questions for both of you. Go ahead, Ayo.
Thank you, Kayla. Let me begin with Dr. Abiante. I mean, you worked for it, so we should call you Dr. Abiante from time to time. You are the chairman of the House Committee on Urban Development and Regional Planning. And at some point you expressed some worry over the level of implementation of certain projects, in Akwa Ibom State. When you say, for instance, save democracy, it's rather broad, and those who say it's vague. Everyone talks about democracy being, on a path that we don't want it to go. You heard my colleague begin by talking about what President Obasanjo has said himself about our democracy having no African identity, content, or context. So when you say democracy, we need saving, the question we should be asking ourselves is, let's be specific. What exactly are we talking about? You have listed, and your team, you have listed the fact that some things happen so fast and all of that. It happens in the National Assembly. It happens at committee levels. You are chairman of a House committee. Honorable Agbese is also chairman of a House committee. Nigerians really don't care whether something goes, in a particular direction or not, as far as the executive is concerned. The legislature should be the watchdog, the first watchdog, the one that says, no, this can go, or this cannot go, or yes, this can go. So what are your thoughts on that? For those who will be saying, you can't say that democracy is not working when that democracy is right now benefiting you as a member of the House of Representatives.
Thank you very much for the question. I'll start by affirming that yes, I'm the chairman of the House Committee on Urban Development and Regional Planning. We were in Akwa Ibom State, we looked at certain projects up to Oron, and we raised our concerns. The project, specifically that of Oron, had been fixed. The one at Uyo, which is the housing project, is ongoing, and it is also dependent on the implementation of the 2024-2025 budget. If funds are not released to contractors, there is nothing any contractor can do, and it becomes very difficult for members to even go and oversight anything. What are you oversighting? When funds are not released to contractors to effectively implement projects that they have been awarded, there is nothing to oversight. Then, as watchdogs of democracy, yes, the parliament is a watchdog of democracy. You can only keep a gate if the other institutions are properly in place. You cannot keep any gate if all the walls are falling. If you have a fenced environment and you are at the gate and the fence around that environment has all collapsed, what are you watching? You are watching nothing. Democracy allows us as the gatekeepers and not those who build the fences. If you have destroyed the institutions that should guarantee that the entrance is only one point, then there is not much you can do. If there are illegal entry points around your environment, absolutely nothing that you can watch. Even if you like stay awake 24 hours, you cannot watch anything. So our call is simple. The other things that should aid and guide democracy are also not working. Where is the place of the rule of law in this country? Where is the independence of other arms of government? Who has been held to account on several
Honorable, the specific question I'm asking is, the Nigerian knows, and you get paid for being a member of the House of Representatives. You cannot complain. I don't think it's appreciable when Nigerians hear you, a government official, complaining like they are complaining. You have to have a solution. You have to find a way around it. That's the issue that I think a good number of Nigerians, will be expecting of you. So when you say save Nigeria, save democracy, what do you expect the people to do when members of the House of Representatives, members of the Senate have a job to do in that regard?
It is in the course of doing this job that we are lending our voice. We say, look, democracy, as we have observed, is in danger. Rise. All of us are saving it. We will save it together. we are taking the lead. We are taking the charge. That is why we have come together and made this. We have been there, but because of the extent of the decay, that is why we are shouting. It is time for everybody to come together and do whatever has to be done to save what we have. Democracy is declining. It is declining. You have election in Osun State.
Yes.
And one of my colleagues, a senator, you heard what he said. I don't speak Yoruba, I don't understand Yoruba. But you heard, he said, is he not one of those who are supposed to champion the protection of democracy? If he can do that, then it goes to tell you that the rot is deeper than you and I are seeing. We also had those who are the position of the conscience of humans go to meet our father, the father of this nation. And what did he tell them? All is fair in politics. All, everything is, whatever you do is fair. He even went to the extent of telling us that he will wrestle to the finish line. Things are not expected of democracy. That incident is not limited to parliament. So if you have these other organs not functioning the way they are supposed to function, parliament can do nothing. Even the Holy Book has told us.
I would find that a bit. My opinion is irrelevant. My apologies, Honorable. Just a second. The opinion of a presenter on any particular conversation such as this isn't as relevant as the things that you say. It's just important for us to draw attention to certain things, in the course of doing our job just as you're doing yours. Honorable Agwese, the issue that your colleague in the House has raised calls to a lot of question. Naturally, there are a good number of people who will say that the House of Representatives, which you speak for, is a house divided against itself. Right this moment, when people across party lines are having an opinion or position that is not in cahoots, so to speak, with that of the leadership of the House. How do you respond? Honorable Agbese, that's for you.
So, yes. Yes, the beauty of democracy everywhere in the world, while we're practicing democracy, is for people to always be able to express themselves, share their viewpoints on important national issues. And like I mentioned earlier, the issues raised by the coalition, yes, they are very genuine. Are we looking at those issues? Yes, I've answered that question earlier, that we are dutifully committed to not just our duty, but to see that Nigeria works. And that is exactly why we have been doing the things that we have been doing in the 10th House of Representatives. Now, the opinion of a few members of the House, especially at the time that we are on recess, it's not the opinion of the Parliament. It's not the official position of the Parliament. As far as we are concerned as a Parliament, and Honorable Abiati and his colleagues in the Safe Democracy Coalition are equally aware. We have done quite a lot. Yes, the bills he talked about are also important issues that we have carried out as a parliament to ensure that we save the democracy and save the nation in totality. For instance, my colleague mentioned the issue of the police reform bills. Yes, that we were in a hurry to pass it. I understand that at the cost of that, making that piece of legislation, a few members, expressed some reservations about it. But the beauty of Parliament is that the minority will always have their say. The majority will have the day. We all came together, and it is in the wisdom of majority of members of Parliament that the decisions that we have taken, we consented to it, and we have taken those decisions in the overall interest of our country. Again, the issue of some lapses on the part of the executive. I'm a member of the opposition. My colleague Abiante is also a member of the opposition. Yes, very well. It is time for us to criticize, but that will not take away, the fact that in some areas too, the executive have also, complied with legislative proposals. A couple of times we've had to invite members of the executive, to answer to some queries brought before us by Nigerians, and we've been engaging them. So I think there's no need for anybody to actually, create a sense of confusion in the atmosphere.
But then there is an important angle to what you said, Honorable. If you don't mind me butting in, I should say I apologize for butting in. There is an important aspect of something that he said, which is the fact that sometimes issues are not raised as quickly as they should. I'll cite one example. In the National Assembly, there's a House Committee on Public Accounts. I don't know if there's a House Committee on Public Accounts. There's a Senate Committee on Public Accounts, and it's usually led by an opposition party, opposition representative or senator. And most of the time, what we find is that the reports that the committee comes up with, one, lags behind, because, for instance, I'm not sure that the review of the last 2 or 3 budgets have been fully done, to call to question a number of things that have been done or not done. And even when those reports are out, and some agents of government or agencies of government, the federal executive, for instance, are named, nothing happens to them. All we hear is, okay, this person is indicted, that person is indicted, and that's it. Nothing happens. So then it will beg the question indeed whether or not what Honorable Abiante is saying, it doesn't carry weight.
Yes, let me quickly touch there. Are you there, Ayo?
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. In the House of Representatives, we have the Committee on Public Accounts. We also have the Committee on Public Petition. We also have other ad hoc committees that are working on the issues of accountability, holding the executive, to account for their day-to-day activities. In the House of Representatives, the House Committee on Public Affairs is led by a member of the opposition from Osun State, Honorable Bamidele Salam. The committee has been working very, very hard, and so far, I understand that some public organizations have been invited, government institutions, heads have been invited to account for some issues raised. Their major work is usually centered on the Auditor General's report, and I think some of the issues being raised in the Senate are also in the House of Representatives. Yes, we are doing all of that to ensure. And again, we actually don't have to wait, to get to a point like Honorable Abiante mentioned before we raise these issues. There have been a continuous, debate in the Parliament. Parliament is about debate, it's about bills, it's about, coming together, to protect the interests of your people. I think the 10th House of Representatives, to the best of my knowledge and my participation as a parliamentarian, we have done quite a lot in this regard. Yes, Nigeria is an evolving democracy, so we cannot conclude, that within the 3 years that were spent in office, what we have not been able to achieve is a total failure on the part of the Parliament or a failure on the part of the executive. The earlier statement by your colleague here on what President Olusegun Obasanjo said, yes, many Nigerians have equally said he had the good opportunity. He was president for 8 years. He didn't look at our democracy. The opportunity he had to amend the law that time to give us an African kind of democracy was the one that he wanted to impose himself again on the nation for a third time in office. And I think the Parliament at that time stood up against that. A couple of times we've also had issues where we came in, to stand against the executive and say we don't find this palatable. I'll give you a good example when we came into Parliament in 2024, when the executive included the purchase of a yacht in the budget of the Navy. We said no. That money was taken away from there, and the money was reinvested in the Nigerian student loan program that is currently going on. The loans that Nigerian students are enjoying at the moment is a product of what we are doing in the Parliament. My colleague Honorable Abiante is aware. So what we do basically is to look at issues in a diplomatic manner, in an approach and atmosphere that we are able to make progress. And so far, those progresses we've recorded, we want to do more as a Parliament.
Was the President right in saying all is fair in politics?
Well, I was not at the meeting where he made
but you saw
comment.
the clip. You've seen the clip.
Yes, but when comments are made, I'm not here to defend the president.
Yes.
Because as a member of the opposition myself, I'm also vulnerable because I don't want government to use institutions or to allow my opponents to attack me or my supporters. But again, in certain issues, you also look at the pretext, the context, and the post-text.
The statement was right. You're a politician. It's all fair in politics, in your view.
Well, I think Mr. President was actually referring to people insulting him, the abuses that he gets. For me, the things they also do to me, I take them to be very fair. I don't retaliate.
So you think all is fair in politics?
Well, if he was referring to the tactics being engaged by his opponents and the way they attack his government and the opposition and the criticism, and he feels that he's okay with them, fine.
Because the interpretation of that is that anything goes.
Well,
and you heard Rabiante saying, is it possible that some of the clips that we're seeing from Osun State and the way the political actors are talking, are they drawing strength from that sort of statement?
Well, some of these issues, when we resume as a parliament, because we are definitely going to come back as a parliament, and I believe Honorable Rabiante, they taught us the rules of the house. So when we resume, the things that they feel are not fair in politics are issues that they can bring before Parliament. We all debate as a house, and as a spokesperson of the house, I know that it is not really good for me to express my own personal opinion on certain issues, so that people don't take them as the opinion of the Parliament. But I believe that Dr. Abiante, when we resume, him and his colleagues will come forward with some of these issues like they've always done, as motions, as bills and all of that, and we'll look at them, as a parliament, and we'll take a holistic decision on it.
All right, Honorable Philip Agbese, thank you so much for being with us on the program. Deputy Spokesperson, Chairman House Committee on Media and Public Affairs, thanks again for being with us on the program. And Representative Dagome Abiante, I'm not going to attempt that first name again. Thank you so much, Honorable Abiante, for being with us on the program as well, and good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I would have loved to make a final statement. Probably to understand the context under which Mr. President made that statement, there is an aide of his who is an expert in context. Probably he should also come and tell us under which context that statement was made. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We have to go on a short break. When we come back, International Youth Day and what that means. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Today is the World International Youth Day. It's a day set aside to recognize the energy, creativity, and enormous potential of young people, while also confronting the challenges that continue to hold them back. But in Nigeria, there's a particularly important question to ask. What does it really mean to be a young person in Nigeria in 2026? We have one of the largest and fastest growing youth populations in the world, and our young people are entrepreneurs, innovators, creators, professionals, activists, and increasingly becoming voices that demanding a greater stake in the decisions that shape their future. Joining us to discuss the importance of International Youth Day is Mr. Stanley Achonu. Mr. Stanley Achonu is the Senior Director for Nigeria at the Malala Fund, where he leads the delivery of the organization's country strategy, driving advocacy, grant making, and partnerships that strengthen the systems needed to ensure girls, especially, can access and complete 12 years of education at least. Thank you so much, Stanley, for being with us on the program.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so let's talk about International Youth Day. Is there a theme for this year? I was looking at the theme for last year. I don't know if there's a theme for this year. What are we focusing on?
We're focusing on girls, as leaders of tomorrow. Because a lot of times when we celebrate these days, it doesn't narrow down to those who are most impacted by the challenges that young people face, which is young girls, which is why this year Malala Fund is also sort of leading the initiative to say that girls are also extremely important when we talk about the future of young people, especially in Nigeria, where they face some of the most brutal challenges that young people are encountering, especially in the northern part of the country, where access to education, which is the bedrock for leadership, has been limited for girls who are married off early or who fall pregnant at very young age.
When you talked about northern Nigeria, it just reminded me of an interview I had recently with the I think the SSA to the president on community engagement for the Northwest. And one of the biggest issues that they keep pointing out is the number of out-of-school children, the number of young, and I'm not just talking about girls. There's an Alamaziri epidemic, so to speak. You can't go in, and we're seeing that ripple effect here in the nation's capital as well. Many of them are moving here for a better life, or a better place to beg, or a place you can make more money from begging or whatever. So when you see those figures from the Malala Fund point of view, how are you going to get kids like that to go back to school?
So again, education is like the biggest opportunity to unlock the pathway to leadership for young people, which is why if we are going to tackle the challenges, the type that you have described, the best place to start with is to catch them young, at least ensuring that every young person in Nigeria receives a minimum of 12 years continuous education. And I'm glad that the federal government is beginning to align policies around education in that direction, and I hope that the National Council on Education in the coming months will approve the new framework that is being laid out for continuous 12 years education.
Are you speaking with states? Because whatever it is you're saying at the federal, if it's not a priority at subnational level, you're talking to yourself.
Of course, we're working largely with state governments, Kano, Kaduna, Bauchi, and the rest of them. And in these states are at the heart of the challenge that we were talking about. So if we're going to create opportunities for young people, it starts with giving them that education. And there is research to back this up. When you invest in early education for children, and there's an Oxford University recent research that has just come out that says that if the governments in Kano and Kaduna invest $114 million over the next 5 years in education for girls and young people, over the next 5 years, there is a $2.5 billion return on investment. That's a very large, that's a 21 to 1 return on investment when you put in money in shaping the future. And where is this investment going to come out from? A young person with 12 years of education is most likely to raise a family that will become educated as well. They are most likely going to have better outcome because they understand hygiene, they understand wash and eating healthy and all of those things. They understand what it takes to invest and to grow a economy and to run business. So we're asking the states, and which is why a lot of our work is also primarily at the state level, to do more to shape how we deliver quality of education to young people at this early level, which is why this year's theme is also focused in that area.
I mean, I'm all for catching them young.
Yes.
It's a lovely concept, isn't it? But we do have a lot of people who are, they're not as, because when we say catch them young, we're going to the kids, aren't we? We're going to people who are preteens. We're trying to focus on getting those ones in school. Now, these ones that have become teenagers and are entering into their 20s now and are on the streets and are fodder for crime and criminality, joining terrorist organizations. Is there anything that can be done to that demographic?
Again, for that demographic who are already away from the years of compulsory 12 years education, creating training opportunities. Sometimes we separate poverty from some of these challenges that you outlined. But at the heart of these challenges, people do not feel that they have stake in the Nigerian economy. So it's easy to convince them to destroy. Someone who owns a house on the street will never go along with any attempt to burn down the street. So these young people have been left with the short end of the stick, if I would describe it that way. And we need to create technical opportunities, training opportunities. We have to deliberately invest in their future. We have to create training centers, skills, jobs training. There are a lot of things we can do to sort of make sure that we give them a stake, a consistent income. And every other country that has gone from the kind of challenges that we face to stabilization have heavily invested in those who feel that they have been left behind. And I think that the opportunities are there for us to use two-pronged. One is to catch them early, but those that we have missed at this early stage, that have gone past the 12 years compulsory education, we need to invest in skills and opportunities that gives them a stake in the Nigerian economy.
My colleague in Lagos has a few questions for you. Go ahead, Ayo.
Thank you so much, Kayla. Mr. Chono, it's exciting that we are talking about young people. It's usually, forgive me, it's one of my favorite topics, of the world. I'm looking at data just the same way you are. We understand that the world average for young people is 16%. 16% of the population of the world they are youths under 30. But in Nigeria, and I think by extension in Africa, 70% of our population in Africa, in Nigeria to be specific, is under 30. I hear you talking about specific opening of opportunities for ladies, for the female gender. But then, if we would look at it holistically a bit, in your opinion and from what you can see, which probably necessitates some of your interventions as an organization, what are the gaps you see? I mean, looking at Nigeria's 36 states, you are a Nigerian. So what are the gaps you see at whatever level, public sector or private sector, that you think, if we don't give it enough attention, we are creating a recipe for disaster already?
Yes. A very good question. Very young population that remains untapped. On the top level, one of the biggest challenges that we're not maximizing the potential of the young people, and we have seen that where the opportunity has been provided, they have been extremely effective in utilizing that opportunity. They have taken the Nigerian entertainment industry to a global level, be it music, be it fashion, be it entertainment, be it our movie industry. So we have seen that Nigerian youths are capable of delivering on every opportunity given to them, and that's on one side. So we have a large population, and as you described, Africa has the youngest population. 70% of Africans are within the youth range, which gives us opportunity to even do better in manufacturing, large-scale manufacturing that provides opportunity, right? We have seen what young people are already doing in tech, sort of expanding the opportunities in tech would be one way to tackle this challenge. Nigeria has passed the Startup Act. Investing in that section, in that act, would be an opportunity to also give young people opportunity to grow the economy. But there's one section that sort of pose a big challenge, a demographic dilemma for Nigerians, which is the kind of people that we were describing earlier, those who have been left behind, who have lacked quality education, who do not have training opportunities, especially in the rural areas, which is completely devastated in certain areas. But when I sort of do a deep dive into Nigeria, in the states where we work in, and I'll look at places like Borno, where we see a high level of insurgency, one of the key challenges in those sectors, in that area, is that it's completely bereft of any opportunities. I was in Borno State a few months ago, and one of the things we found is that there are no companies that employ up to 200 people in a state like Borno, a single company that employ up to 200 people. There are no manufacturing opportunities for young people, manufacturing companies that employ young people. So basically what you have in places like Borno is that people are either doing transportation or doing subsistence farming, which is now ravaged by the insecurities in the area. So there is opportunity for us to tackle this challenge at scale, not just only using security as a way to tackle it, but also creating opportunities that says to people, look, the only way to make it is not criminality, but to contribute to productive economy. So the challenges are enormous, but it presents a single opportunity for us to maximize what young people can deliver. We can take advantage of the free trade area to open up our country for more people to produce for export.
Mr. Chono, you're spot on. There is no doubt about it. But I just want to ask something. You listed quite a number of opportunities, that government has already put out there. The challenge that a number of people have seen is in communicating it. It's one thing to put out the information there for people to grab. It's another thing altogether for the people to understand the opportunities enough to engage with it. If you would take a look at how we communicate as a people, as a government, you know, and all of that. First of all, the entry level into governance for young people, because the founding fathers of Nigeria were between ages 20 and 30 largely. Today, I don't even know if they are getting that opportunity. So you want to first of all help us look at what opportunities you see in young people being able to take their destiny into their hands, so to speak. And then secondly, whatever opportunities are already there now for them, what's your assessment of how communication goes from top down and back?
No doubt, there's always room to improve on government communication and also giving opportunity. And I want to focus a bit on giving opportunity to young people to contribute to sort of governance and policy making and all of that. I fear that we're getting to the point where those who basically make the policies and who govern us are not the immediate beneficiaries of the governance structures that they are putting in place. One critical area that, and I'll give an example of a recent activities by our partners in Bauchi State, where young girls were part of designing a framework for gender responsive budgeting led by one of our guarantees. What came out of that was a policy that then responds directly to the needs of those young people. And I think that the point I'm making is that we need to create an opportunity where those young people who will live out some of the policy changes that we make are also part of the design and implementation of the policy. We need to create more leadership opportunities. Some of our leaders today started very young, but they are not yielding space for young people. They are not giving opportunities for young people to be part of that process. And I think that when it comes to communicating government policies, younger people helping government to shape communication approach might be a better way to reach a larger number. You know, there are people who are very good with breaking down government policies and sharing them in the format that young people can consume. That might be an opportunity for young people to participate in government, but also help government further some of the messaging and policies that they create to respond to some of the challenges we face.
So let's talk about this year. What's the Malala Fund doing for? Well, I know the focus is on girls this year, isn't it?
Yes.
What does that mean? When they say we're focusing on girls, what does that mean? What do you do now? Are you giving money? Are you giving grants? What's happening?
We are principally focused on empowering women-led, young girls, young women-led organization in Nigeria. So a large chunk of our grant making goes to women-led organization, and we have seen success. One of our guarantees, Page the Initiative, is working mostly in northern Nigeria, Kaduna, Kano, to help to train girls at the community to use storytelling as a way of sharing the challenges and the kind of policy initiative that can help them tackle the challenges. And we are seeing really good progress. So they are making really good films, and we hope to sort of showcase some of them at international fora. So we are creating new storytellers and filmmakers of the future.
So that's for the girls out there, storytellers out there, get your stories together. You know, Malala Fund is reaching out, so get your stories together, be able to communicate what it is that you're doing, and let's see how we can empower as many girls as possible. Thank you so much, Mr. Stanley Achonu, for being part of the program. Stanley Achonu is the Senior Director, Malala Fund, Nigeria.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's all the time we have on Sunrise Daily this morning. Thank you all so much for making us a part of your morning. We've got Business Morning at the top of the hour. I'm Kayla Magwa. Have a great day ahead.
And I'm Ayo Makinde. Have a wonderful day.